Hello again from Custom Home Builders Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software for the professional home builder. This video is a continuation of a video about posting what we call paid vouchers. And by what that means is, let's say somebody outside, like our home buyer, pays one of the vendors or suppliers, etc., for something, and we want to record the job costs that they paid for in CHS, but the fact that an outside party paid for it means that we want to post it as paid to the vendor that was paid, but we don't want any impact on our cash. In order to handle that, CHS has a feature called Paid Vouchers, which if you post a bill and then mark it as paid by voucher, it will be recorded as paid in a cash clearing account, and then CHS will also record another side to that, which will show up as revenues on the job. So it's as if you went and paid somebody yourself, and then somebody paid you right back for it. This feature could also be used if somebody like a title company or a bank is printing all the checks for your job costs, but you're using CHS to record those job costs, and maybe all you're recognizing in cash is some sort of builder fee or profit that you realize, but you don't want your accounting books to have some cash account showing this money out when somebody else paid for it. So basically you're recognizing it as if you paid for it and then somebody gave you the money back as job revenues. So you do this just like any other bill. You will be posting in the payables account. You'll be posting a bill, and then we'll be marking it as paid by voucher to handle it. If you use the help button here, you'll see that one of the expanding buttons, bars that you can click, has a help document, which we're going to open, and we're currently doing these videos. And I'm going to go ahead and open it just because, again, so you can see how it will stay open in my tab. We've talked about the setup in the first video for just an account you need on your chart of accounts, and mark it as a control account. It's called a cash voucher clearing account because that's where CHS will post, and it will always stay at zero. It'll post the entry as if it was paid, and then it'll post it's just holding a thing to batch everything together to show cash voucher clearing entries. We'll take a look at that in a minute, about the net results after we post something as paid by voucher. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go use that feature. Let's say like our home buyers went out to a vendor called Builders Display. We had issued POs to Builders Display anticipating we would be paying it, but for whatever reason the home buyer went and paid the flat PO amount to Builders Display and let us know about it. So let's do Builders Display here, and we're going to create a job related. This paid voucher feature is really for just handling job costs that somebody outside paid. I wouldn't imagine somebody else was paying your overhead bills or anything. So anyway, we do have a couple POs we did issue to them, so we're just going to use those. And it was for the front door, and we originally had issued a PO for $1,500, which is what we budgeted for the front door. But then we came along and we did a change order for adding some stained glass to the front door. So the home buyer went and paid both these amounts, in other words, $2,250. So we need to get the cost attached to the PO, mark that PO is done because it has been paid by somebody. So once I selected it, all my fields filled in for me, really. And I don't really have to do much more unless I want to type Builders Display for some reason in the description or whatever. What it did was supply the PO title for that description. It did $1,500. We're going to just highlight, for whatever reason there's no sales tax on this, or it's already part of this. It could be that we budgeted and we issued a PO and it's a different amount, and you might have to put in a different amount that was paid by somebody. And let me just go ahead and add a second line because we had two POs and they paid for both of them, the home buyer did. So we're going to also do the change order side of that. And you can see that here. And also a second video, another video that I'm going to be doing is the effect of all of this, the home buyer paying, and then the effect of all that on a cost plus markup draw request. And you can see how there's a markup percent attaching here. And we do want to be collecting for that when we do draw requests, that difference, that markup percent. So I'll be showing that in another video after this one. But we have everything filled in. I just used one that had POs so I wouldn't have to sit here typing in things. And we're just pretending the home buyer just wrote a check for $2,250 to Builders Display. So we want to track what vendor. That's why we have this feature. We don't want to be coming here, in our case, I mean everything's up to you, but in our case we're not going to post a bill due to the home buyer. We do want to have it attached to the vendor that we issued a PO to. So CHS is going to handle this so it doesn't affect cash. So when I submit it, checking for overages and didn't find any because that is what we budgeted for in change orders and budget, etc. But notice that one of these options that come up, post as paid voucher, which is down here. First, the program will post the bills as unpaid. Then a window will open with info about posting bills that were paid by an outside party. So let's click that. And it's going to go ahead and give you some information that we're going over here and that we're going to be reviewing, but you could read it to make sure you're happy with what's going to happen. All of this information down here is telling you what's going to happen, but we're going to look at it. I'd like you to first of all notice that it's telling us that this is all the paid voucher entries are actually going to be posted in a batch number 614. It's adding new batch numbers. That could be helpful if you wanted to see the whole batch that was posted by CHS as a result of this. It's showing us the amount, and it's showing us in our first video, we showed how we set up something called a clearing account, cash clearing account, and we let CHS know to use this for paid vouchers by calling it a control account. If this happens to be 0, this will not let you submit. These will be there as unpaid, and you might need to go delete them and try again in your unpaid payables. They've already been posted as unpaid payables because CHS has to do all of this very logically. So they got posted so we could have the real records that we're now going to use to take care of marking them as paid by voucher, and another side of the entry that's going to show up as job revenues. If you don't want to use this feature, this is all up to you. It's just something I wrote to help people do this in one way without having to jump through a lot of hoops trying to set up fake cash accounts, post a check, and then go post a deposit to these fake cash accounts. But you could do that if there's something you're not liking about paid vouchers or how CHS is handling it. I have a tip here that's an alternative for doing this. One thing is that using the CHS paid voucher feature, we're going to have a plus and a minus to our Builders Display vendor. Let's say they were supposed to get 1099s from us. This will cause this amount not to be on a 1099 because it's actually going to go in and out of that vendor, and there'll be a 0 effect of that, which might be okay since you didn't actually really write the check. Might be okay that you're not including it or not. But these steps here, I'll let you pop it up. I also put a copy of this in the help document, is another way you might consider and figure out how to take care of the fact that somebody else is paying job costs and you don't want cash affected on your books. So we're all okay with this, reading this, etc. And we're going to go ahead and submit this. So all of those have been marked. It pops up a thing that says they've been marked as paid vouchers, that they're paid by an outside party. It will let me view the posted entries, so that might be interesting. But you'll see here's the 1500 and the 750, and those both, that's the positive amount that you saw on the screen we were submitting. Those both have a cost code. If you hover over it for front door, They're attached to POs. But notice here that they are marked as paid, and with that cash account, that's the cash clearing account for paid vouchers, and CHS assigns a check number that is PV dash and the batch number. You can see the batch up here. That also CHS, to balance out your books, to not have some negative amount in some cash account, has posted a couple of other things. And these are credits actually to your books, and they have zero cost code, which means these particular entries will not show up on a job cost report, but where they're going to show up is as job revenues received, maybe from the home buyer. So it's like the home buyer handed us the revenues after we paid something, and I'm going to show you how those things show up. Notice that there's a zero cost code, like I said, so these will not show up on job cost reports. But behind the scenes, CHS has given these a deposit category of paid voucher clearing, and we'll see that here in a minute. So let's close this. You could also upload and attach a copy of some invoice that maybe they brought in, or who knows, the buyer's check or whatever you'd like to upload and attach to these records. So I'm going to close this and close this, and we're going to go take a look at how some of this stuff shows up on your books. We just saw how just a list of those entries that were posted, but let's go take a look at the vendor transactions ledger. That's where you can see all entries posted to vendors if you like. And I've gone to, on the home tab, I went to payables transactions vendor ledger. Basically it has all entries posted as bills to vendors, etc. And I'm going to use this great big button because I want to use some search features. So when you use this button, it'll open in another tab, and it's going to go out and start bringing in all vendor transactions, which could be a few thousand of them. So it'll take just a few moments. It's actually grabbing those, and it's bringing in 100 at a time, and you can keep scrolling down. But most of the time you open this and you do a search. So first of all, what I'd like to search for is, let's just do this a tiny step at a time. Over here, one of the fields we can search for is all things paid by either credit card, voucher, or prior period. So let's take a look and see what entries we see paid by voucher. So let's submit search. The only entries we've ever posted paid by vouchers are the ones we just did. So it just found those, and it's showing the same in-out entries, all entries that are marked as paid by voucher. Now let's say we just want to see the positive amounts, or the amounts that are job costs. Maybe an outside title company is paying bills for us. We could get them posted as paid by voucher and then give them a report of what we posted as paid by voucher, and then they actually will pay the vendors. I'll show you that. So let's say we just only want ones with cost codes other than zero, because that would be our job costs. So let's do search, and instead of doing anything here in the cost codes, we're going to try greater than zero for job costs. We're going to search for any records greater than zero. In other words, they won't be zero. And one's paid by voucher, and we'll submit our search. Now notice that, and we could have narrowed our search down to the job code, but we didn't really have to because it's the only job that we've done paid vouchers to. But you could do that when you do your search. And let's just go ahead, and it'll be the same results, but let's go ahead and select this job for our search. That way our report will show us what we searched for. So now we just have the two records paid by voucher. And if there's some reason we need to give this list to somebody so they actually do go ahead and pay them outside because they're doing it after the fact, a good report would be, I think the vendor ledger group jobs would be probably the most interesting way to do it. So what you can see here, we only have one vendor we've paid by outside voucher, but you could have a report here that has a whole list of vendors that has their address, email, phone numbers, And from this, an outside party could tell that they might need to pay a check to Builders Display for $22.50. Um, and you can see the filters down here, that it's for that job, paid voucher entry, cost code greater than 0, and you might have a whole list of them. If you're doing it, a batch of them, and then giving a list to some title or somebody that's going to actually write the checks, you might need to do a range of dates or something, since you gave them the list before. That's just something I thought of that might be kind of handy. But this is your vendor transactions ledger. You can tell that this builder was paid by voucher, that it was really out of this fake clearing cash account, so that you can see how that is. So that's how you can look at them one way. Let's go take a look at how these end up showing up on job costs and revenues reports. Over here under home, let's just go to the actual cost database. And there's some handy reports that you can just get right up front. So let's do our demo job, and let's do quick actual cost reports. And notice that one of them is costs and revenues detail. So let's take a look at that one. We've posted other costs that we actually paid for. So let's just start scrolling. One thing you could start looking for is the check number. Those are normal check numbers. Some are not paid yet. And see the check number down here, just for looking, or we could be looking for front door, or we could, who knows what. But let's just keep going. See what we find. Here they are. So notice how this is showing up on a job cost report, $22.50, that this is paid. And if you glance at it, you can see that PV hyphen. You can kind of tell from that this was paid from an outside party. Now let's keep going down to where revenues are attached to this report. And that's job revenues, which just means revenues received. We can see we received some other revenues, a down payment, one draw request. And right here we have something called paid voucher clearing. And there's the amount basically that somebody outside paid. So you can see how that's coming in both in the revenues and in the job costs. It gives us a little vendor name and shows as paid voucher revenue, and in other words indicating to us that that was paid by an outside party. And as you do more of them, they might show up here under paid voucher clearing. But you can see how this is a way to show the job costs and the money that was received for the job cost. Now if you suddenly decide, let's go see something else now, that you just really didn't want to have that happen, you can delete the vendor records. Let's go back to the vendor transactions menu, and this time let's just go ahead and do more of a quick opening of this so we know this happened in this month. And we just want Builders Display. We know we're wanting to, for some reason, get rid of that batch of entries. So I'm going to open this quick search vendors transaction window, which once you get it narrowed down to something, it doesn't need to bring you as many records, and it'll come back. You can do this on the big vendor transactions database also. Now what I'd like you to notice is that if you decide you wanted to try to edit a paid voucher entry that's on your vendor transactions, it's going to come up and it's going to tell you that the entry selected to edit or delete is paid voucher. When this entry was posted, CHS created balancing entries, etc. All of the entries posted in the same batch as the entry are shown below. You can even see the in-out, it's for batching that we put to that 1098 account. These entries can be deleted if they total to 0, but cannot be edited here. But I'm going to show you in a second another place you could at least edit part of the entries. But right here on this screen, CHS is needing to control these, so you can't go straight to edit. They are very, they need to be kept intact and not change too much. So what I'm saying is you'll need to delete them all and go repost them if you need to edit from here. But You don't necessarily have to. You could go to one other place I'm going to show you here. So if you decide I want to delete the entire batch, and one thing is you might want to do separate batches. Like I might have wanted to do both of those POs that I marked as paid by voucher in two separate batches, because if I get too much in one great big batch, then I'd have to delete it all to take care of them. They are just very peculiar entries, and I'm making absolutely sure your accounting is staying straight. But if you select to delete all paid vouchers entries, all of these will go away. They will be deleted, and an entry will be posted to the audit table. I want to leave these here because I need to use them to show how you could edit some of them a little bit. So let's close this. And the place you can edit, and it's in the help document. If you look at your help document, we've posted, we've reviewed the transactions, we reviewed them again, we did a report, we looked at them on job costs and revenues. We just talked about how you would delete them all. But here's a little bit of information that I'm now going to tell you about edit some fields on paid voucher entries. So where you can actually do that is, because they are job cost records, there's a few places you can actually get to the job costs to edit them. But I'm going to go back to the actual job costs. I'm going to select our job, Vista View, and I'm going to open the job cost database for just that job. And let it go ahead and come in, and then I'm just going to search for, I'll start typing BUI here in this list, things for builder's display. Now notice we have some other bills that we paid to builder's display, but here's our couple of paid voucher ones that you can see over here. I can use this pencil edit icon to edit a few fields. You can also drill down to all of this from your estimated cost of completion when you're looking at the cost code line for 4535 front door. Some of these will be locked. These fields are locked right now, and there's features about this. We'll be talking more about editing these things. Job and cost code are locked because we have a PO attached to it. But you could change a little bit about the the description or the cost type. You know, a little bit of something that you'd like to do. You could try setting the PO to none, but you might have to get it out of being marked as done in order to do that, following some other features that we've told you about in purchase orders videos. But anyway, there are a few fields here that you could edit by drilling down on these job costs. So that's how you would edit those if you needed a little bit of editing done. When you actually open something to edit, it'll bring back all the records on various screens, by the way. And if you did a search, you could quickly click resubmit search instead of trying to search again or do something after it refreshes and brings back all the records. I think that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. Hopefully you get a pretty good idea of what's happening. I want to do one more video about all of this and show you the effects if you're using the features in CHS to do draw requests or produce draw requests. I want to show you my suggestions for handling the fact that when you're doing draw requests based on costs that have been posted, these paid voucher costs will show up, but they'll also show up as revenues on those draw request reports. And I'd like to show you what you might do with it to make your customer happy that doesn't suddenly see front door on there that you're drawing for it. But you are drawing for it because you also want the market percent on a cost plus market. Anyway, I'll show you some ways to handle that. And I guess I'm out of voice right now, so thank you for watching this one, and please continue to the next video.